before, it all starts with the ccu.edu/library website. We try to keep it simple here, something that's familiar here at the beginning, and then just the word library to get to those library resources. And as you would think of with many libraries, we have books, of course, but we also have staff and people, as well as a website and beyond. Some of our modern libraries have become a little bit different than what our perception of a library may have been from our past experiences. And I'd like to start off today just with hear your thoughts and get us all thinking of the same frame of mind of when you hear the word library, what do you think of? We have a chat function down in the center of your screen. And can you share with us a word or a phrase that would be some of your thoughts of when you hear the word library? I know I mentioned a couple, but maybe you have some past experiences with school libraries, with public libraries, or even academic libraries. I'm wondering what you think of. So some people are saying quiet spot, quiet study space, a research support. So quite a few things that we think of when we think of the word library: a physical location to do work, a place to research, books and study time. Very good. Somebody says. And resources. It's true. All of those things are part of our experiences with libraries. I've been in libraries where there's story time, and my mom would take us down and we would have a storybook that we'd listen to, but we also would just browse through the shelves, and it's a place to gain knowledge, a place to grow, a place to be enchanted, and definitely to be stretched. And that's what your library at CCU is as well. Now, our university mission statement starts with these two phrases. Our university is Christ-centered, but it's also higher education. And so if some of your thoughts of libraries are reading and fiction books and so on, we want to go beyond that into definitely the higher education and Christ-centered higher education, in which we are doing some serious research and moving on to new levels of scholarship. And one of our library vision statement is that we would aspire to be the first and best choice for your research and as you complete your assignments. And it's not only research, but also research expertise. So we have a whole team of librarians here to help you, no matter where you are in the country. We have Gail and Oliver and myself, Sharon, along with Alec, Brian, Tess, Michael. We're all here as a support team to help you through, to really, yes, explore resources, but also to create whatever new knowledge that you happen to be doing with your assignments, your papers that you're writing, your projects that you're doing, and all the rest. We are here to support whatever academic program you're part of, and whatever courses you're in. We have here, as you see, lots of resources, 500,000 ebooks plus, many physical materials, article databases, and including the service aspect of the student appointments that you also have access to. And I'll show you how to gain access to all of these things. Now here is a smart guy, Albert Einstein. And one of the quotes that he is attributed with is, the only thing you absolutely need to know is the location of the library. And we do think of a physical space often, but I would like to extend that. Yes, we do have a physical space here on our campus. We are in a new location, a temporary location, as a new library is built here on the campus in Lakewood, Colorado. And you can see here, this rectangle is where the library is located at the current time. But really the location, it looks like this, by the way, on the outside. And yes, there's books and study spaces and so on, even many print materials in storage. But for you and for all of our students, actually, a library, the actual library itself, can be found at that same link that I had shown you a moment ago, the ccu.edu/library. That is the location of your library. It's what you do absolutely need to know. Here's what it looks like when you first arrive there. Maybe some of you have been here already a bit with some of the classes you've been part of. But for today, we're just going to do a quick overview of the website itself. We want to look at how you distinguish between the print books that are in our catalog, as well as the electronic book sources, so that you can get to whatever sources that you need right where you're at. How do you access your account? And how do you access all of the materials? Because a lot of them are behind a password. And then finally, I am going to spend a little bit of time with our subject guides. A lot of work has been put in by the librarians to whatever subject area your course is part of, whether it's psychology, history, a Bible class. We have created guides to help jumpstart your research and your help for your assignments. And actually, some of your professors are putting in assignments that require you to come to some of these subject guides and just get familiar with them. And then, of course, that also leads us to article resources, where we have academic articles. And then there's many other tools that I will make you aware of today. So that's a quick overview of what we're going to do today. This is the starting spot, as I showed you before. And those of you that weren't here at the very beginning, I did encourage you to have a camera out if you wish and take pictures of any of these web sources, web links that you happen to see. But I am recording right now. And at least I hope I'm recording right now. And I do have some past recordings as well, but I will be also sharing a follow-up document that is full of web links. Okay, so I'm going to go into the live presentation now so that we can see what our source looks like. This changes periodically. You can see there's a few extra things that weren't in the previous picture, but it's organized like a lot of other websites. We try to keep it somewhat uniform, in which the drop-down menus here are the same on most pages. This is the home page link right here at the top. We also have tools down the right-hand side. And we have lots of students that use this book a librarian, so you can get a one-on-one session with a librarian. And this is where we will share a Zoom call, just like we're doing right now, but it'll be one-on-one, and you give us the course that you're in and the topic of your assignment. And we do some pre-research, and then we talk through about it for about 15, 20 minutes. And we take you to some of, we hope, the best resources for your topic and answer the questions that you have that are immediately in front of you. There's other times where we just need a quick question answered, and there's this chat feature right here. And this, if we're here on campus, you could just come in here and ask a quick question if you wish. And there, of course, there is other tools here as well, like what are our hours? How do you look up your account right here? And this tutorials is very helpful with a bunch of videos. So a lot of refreshing of your mind or new learning about the library can take place here. And then, of course, there's a how-to button that does the same thing. A lot of these tools are repeated up here, but there's also some extras. Can be quite helpful, especially this tutorials and frequently asked questions and help with research and assignments and topic development and so on. All those are quite helpful. So let's look in. And of course, if you have a question that comes to mind real quick, please put it in the chat. Or we have a small enough group here, I think, that you could unmute yourself and interrupt me really quickly if you have something that's immediate on your mind. So please feel free to do that. But for now, let me just do a quick book search. We'll start with this. As you can see, if I have two tabs here, I can click on the yellow one to look up articles very quickly. But I can also come back here, what's called Books Plus, and do a search of our actual catalog. And it's not all print books. There's actually quite a lot of electronic books as well. So let's put in a sample search. It's a very broad one, just using, say, the word Bible. And I could make this a title or a subject search, but I'll just keep it as a keyword. And when I actually do click on search here, I will get all the results. And one of the first things that I look at is where are these books coming from? You see there's many thousands. These ones here are all print books. These are all electronic, and you can see there's other kinds of electronic. If I want to narrow it to just the electronic, I can click on here, and then the print books have gone away. I'm going to go back one just to show you the difference between a print book and an electronic book. You can see this one here says place hold in yellow, and that means that all of these books here, these three that are here, are all print books. But as I scroll down, I see there's a few more print books. But here, for this third entry, there is both a print book and an online book. So since you are far away from campus, most of you, if not all of you, when I click on the Access Online, each one may look slightly different depending which company it's coming from. This one comes from ProQuest eBook Central. And when I'm in here, I have the ability to read this online through this tab or this tab, but I also have the ability to quickly cite the book here in whatever format that your professor prefers. And then I can also download chapters at a time each time I'm in here. But when I'm in the actual book reading online, I'm able to cite the book here with all these tools at the top, get links. I can even search within the book for key terms and so on. And there's literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these that you have available to you immediately right in your computer. So that is where your library is located. You have immediate access to all of these. So this is one example. I'm going to go back now to our list. Of course, at any time when you have made a books search, you can go into more detail by clicking on any of these limiters on the left, including sometimes you need something more recent, which is the last 5 years, the last year, and so on. You can quickly narrow to any author, language, and so on. I also like this feature up here. The advanced search is quite helpful. And from here, I have the ability to add more search fields. So say I want to get focused and just do something like the New Testament. I need glasses on, excuse me. Testament. There we go. And of course, if I change these, it'll drastically change the amount of results that I get. Hit find. And now I've narrowed that 60,000 down to 4,000, just that little bit. You can see I'm also doing print and electronic right now. But here we're getting some new books that are also quite helpful. So that's just a little bit about looking for books. We can, of course, log in here. Since you are far away from campus, you're less likely to need this as much, but it is possible to put your full name in here and your ID number to look up your own account and see any details in case you happen to have a physical book checked out. So that is a quick look at the books portion. And let me show you what I'm going to share with you. I have this document. You might be familiar with this ad that we put out, and hopefully you saw this and will become refreshed on your journey through your courses. But as we scroll down here, some of the links that I'm sharing with you are the slideshow that I started with, including this is the notes document that we're in right now. But there's also 2 links to videos. But the main organization, or this is just a reminder of, you absolutely need to know the location of your library and the address. But your notes document here will be organized by 3 things. First, the guides, then a portion about articles, and then a portion about books. The portion I just talked about with you is about the books. We did a general search on Bible. There's a few other resources that could be helpful. And let's go now, though, to what I find to be one of the most helpful portions on the library site is the subject guides. So I'm going to go back to our original page right here. And please slow me down if I'm going too fast for anybody, or if you want something to clarify, please ask. So I could go to look for articles right here, but I'm really trying to focus right now towards a certain subject. So I'm going to come over here to the compass, the yellow compass called the guides. And what I first see here are, it says there's 16 subjects, but really there's many more because there's numbers next to each one of these. They're in alphabetical order from biblical studies all the way to writing. Most of them are organized the same way. And I'll show you what the Biblical Studies Guide looks like as an example. First, when I click on it, I get this drop-down menu of 7 various ways that I could go. I'll go to Biblical Studies and Theology because that's important for your INT classes. There's 211 or 212. And here is the basic organization of a subject guide page. You'll have the title up here. You'll have a list of blue links over here on the left, usually starting with articles. And down a little ways is books, and eventually there'll be websites and video resources. Most all of the guides have those 3. For the biblical studies, we have a few more because it's very necessary to have a few other designations, a little more detail. Since we're on these defaults to the articles tab, we see links to articles here in the center. But if I was to click on books, I would see links to books here in the center. Now, the last thing that's on all the pages is your tools over here on the right. So that remains on most of the subject guides. So let's take a look now at each of these. There's a few key portions to this particular study guide that will be very helpful for you, especially in INT 212, for instance, needing to find where the commentaries are. That's quite helpful. We have all kinds of biblical study tools here, including commentaries. So say I click on the commentaries aspect, and these 3 are here indented, but a little bit of detail of what is a commentary, some quick links to multiple commentaries. And of course, I could have searched from the Books Plus right from the very beginning on commentaries and got a list much, much longer than this. But this guide is just meant here to take you to some of the best and immediate links to them if you didn't know the names of a lot of these ahead of time. So for instance, under commentaries, we have commentaries by Viewpoint, Old Testament, New Testament. So if I was to click on commentaries by Viewpoint, I'm able to see, once again, a long list of commentaries and a little bit of information about where this list came from, including what kind of viewpoint each commentary may be coming from, whether conservative, moderate, or liberal, and including what level the commentary has been written at. Is it meant for popular audience, or is it meant for a university audience, or even a graduate level audience? So that is a bit of this. Let's look at Old Testament commentaries real quickly since we're here. You can go to any particular book of the Bible, and then also see a list of some recommended choices. As you look closely at these, always for you, look for the ones that say access online rather than the ones that don't. So this second one here is a print book, which is harder for you to access. But this one here, the first one and the third one are ones that you can access quickly from home. So,
I have a question.
Yes.
My name's April, and
Hi, April.
Hi. In the biblical studies area, there was the ATLA religion database, the Biblio board, all of those different ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so none of those are going to pop up within the main search if I do a search for, let's say, on, writing a paper on Micah this week. So if I did a search on Micah, then, would I have to go into each one of these to find different kinds of information, or would these also fall under the main search?
Okay, that's a good question. So if I do a Micah search here in Books Plus, I'm going to get all electronic books. If I do a Micah search here, I'm going to get all the subject areas. And so it's really not as focused as I would like to start with something specific as wanting articles on the book of Micah, right? So that's why we say, yes, you can say here and put in, say, book of Micah, and I will get things that are on topic, right? But I'll be better served by coming to the guides here and going to the Biblical Studies Guide. And it defaults to the articles. If I want something short on Micah written by academic people, then I would use a database. If I want something longer, say 200-300 pages on the book of Micah, then I would choose books instead. And I would come here to books.
Yeah.
Or I could do my book search right from the beginning page. So let's take a quick look at some ways to get, I love your question because it's very specific, and all of you will have at some point the need to do something like this. It's great for personal searches as well. So Atla is a wonderful one because it's a religion database. And right below here in indented of articles is one called Find Articles on a Scripture Passage. So if I'm looking for articles, not books, this is a wonderful place to go. There's a 4-minute video that shows methods to search in Atla for specific biblical scripture citations. Also, as you scroll down, it shows the same thing in slide pictures, one by one, just to kind of remind you how this works. And if you notice that the very first place to start is going to Atla Religion Database and then the Scriptures tab at the top. So let's show what that looks like. When I click on articles here, I will choose the very first one. Make it bigger so you can all see this. You can see that all of these are separate databases and they all can be quite helpful. Probably the most helpful of the two of them are this Atla Religion as well as Procrust Religion for the topic that you've chosen. So I'm going to click on Atla. And the T in Atlas stands for theological. Let's just help you remember what that means. Now, I could just put some terms in here and get some results by hitting search and a term, but I also can come up here to the top and I can choose a scripture search. And from here, I'm able then to look at each book of the Bible, including the Apocrypha. And for Micah, I'm going to have to move along to the second page or third page. Let's see. And here we are with Micah. There it is, third page. Yep. That's okay. Okay, so now we're here. And if I click on the book of Micah, I will get results all about Micah, any chapter. But if I know that I want to limit it to a certain portion, I can click on this expand button. And then I get the choice of which chapter do I want to focus on at this moment.
Nice.
And then I can even expand right to a particular verse, like so on. Now, there are a lot of scripture ranges in the articles that are being written. So even if you do choose a verse, you will end up getting a range. So it might be all about chapter 4, it might be all about chapters 1 through 4, and so on. So let's just look at, do you have a specific verse in mind at this moment?
No, not yet, but this would have really helped me the last couple of classes.
One of the famous ones from Micah is 6:8. So I'm just going to go to chapter 6, and I just clicked on the whole chapter. You can see it. There's a little code here for scripture range, and it's putting in Micah 6. But what we've received here is 89 various articles that have something to do with Micah. And even some will be Micah chapter 6. So when we're here, we can look over here on the left to say, okay, we haven't done any limiters yet, or we haven't changed our date. You can see that 72 come from academic journals, some from essays, and so on. We even get further detail on subjects. You can change languages if you wish, and so on. And also, as you look here in the center, you can see that some of them are PDF full text, whereas some of them are not. Depends on which sources they're coming from. So there is a way to narrow this to say, I can't get this right now fully, so let's just limit this to full text only. Instead of 89 articles, we've now limited it to 33, that I can get the entire article of. And then sometimes your professors will say, I absolutely want something scholarly peer-reviewed. So if you click that too, and maybe all of them are, but sometimes, we lost about 8 of them. So now we know that each of these are about Micah. They are on the area of Micah that you wish, or at least somewhere about Micah. They're definitely full text, and they should be peer-reviewed and scholarly as well. So when I click on one particular article, it'll take me to a quick overview of the article, including what subjects are part of this, and so on, what other scripture citations are part of this article. But the best part of this is these tools on the right-hand side. And this is what your professors will often ask for. I want a citation of the actual article. So when you click on Cite, you get a choice of whichever citation style that you need, whether APA or MLA or something else.
Why don't they have Terbian, since we have to use that?
They do, actually. The Chicago is Turabian. And so you can do the notes and bibliography Turabian, or you can do the author date Turabian. So it depends on what your professor wishes. And I actually have some more helps to make sure that I get to the writing guide to show you some of those other helps for Turabian and APA and MLA and so on. So that's wonderful. Oh, by the way, you need to read this up here. These are not always 100% accurate because they're computer generated. Just need to take a quick look at them to make sure that they are accurate. And like I said, I'll take you to the writing guide to make sure that you have some sources to help with that checking of your citations. Another helpful tool here is this one called a permanent link, a permalink, because up here in the address bar, this is a temporary link. So don't ever try to use that to get back to this place. If you want to share this article with people or with yourself in your notes, you can click on permalink, and then I get a permanent link here if I copy this and put it into my notes. The permanent link is quite helpful. The other thing that's also helpful is if you click on PDF full text here, right up here, you have a download PDF. You can download it straight to your computer. You don't have to look it up again. I would suggest putting it in a folder for the name of your course, and then you always have it. You can delete it whenever you don't need it anymore. I also like the PDFs because they have page numbers, and you can do proper citations for the page number that you're at. So now go back to result list. And that's just a quick look at what one database on @Live Religion would look like to find articles.
Thank you, that was helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, some of you will be taking other courses, and so it is very possible to say, okay, I want to see the religious perspective, but there's other times I want to see other perspectives too, like a psychological or historical or whatever, business, social science, and so on. When I clicked on choose databases, you can see that within EBSCO, I have many, many to choose from. If I'm having trouble finding anything on whatever terms that I put in, I can just select all and search all of these at once, but I'll get very different results. One of these is a very general one, like Academic Search Complete, fantastic for academic searching. But here are psychology, I'll get very different results if I only choose psychology. So depending on what your purpose is, you can choose which databases that you want to look at. Okay, so right now I'm going to just choose those psychological databases. And let's say that by the way, I have the ability up here in subjects or in thesaurus is to choose a way to look at the terms that academic people are using. So that could be quite helpful. But for now, I'm just going to choose a term. I happen to be searching this one up earlier. Somebody was asking, doing a search on this. You get this drop-down list that can be quite helpful. And I'll get a very different results if I choose this to be a search of, if I don't choose anything, it's just going to search the title, the abstract, and the subjects. But if I do choose it's only in subjects, it'll make my search much more focused. And now when I do a search about trauma in the psychology, I get 58,000, so quite a few. It's the first thing I always look at. But I can, of course, narrow with the narrow things that we did before. And I can add more terms to also help with this. Now, it could be that I am very interested in some of these other subject areas down here. Like what I really care about is this and this. I'm going to make this be, I could see how we get a drop-down list here. I could do any of these offshoots of the same idea and make sure that these are subject terms. And then I could say I only care right now about a a certain age range. And then I will then, the more I do this, the more this number will go down as I get into more detail. So here, instead of 58,000, now we're down to 9,000, and I've been able to narrow. I can then also say I don't know all these other languages, so I'm going to just make it English for the moment. And I would get rid of some of these that I can't access fully. And it may be that some of these other age ranges is even more helpful for me. It all depends. There's so many different ways to do this. And for details like these, this is what the Book of Librarian feature is for, to help you with the specific searches when you get to them. Okay, for right now, we're doing a quick intro. So I just wanted to make you aware that these are possible for you to access. And back to the original library page here, you always have more tutorials here to remind you of what I've done today. I'm going to go here to the How tab one more time under tutorials and frequently asked questions. And I'm going to go to the research one because it has this list of hyperlinked answers to a whole bunch of questions. And everything I just did is basically in this 3-minute video, how to find an article from a research paper. Okay, so the key place to start is this Compass subject guide. And I promised that I would take you also not just to biblical studies, but I also take you to the writing guide. Now, while we're here also, I'll say, hey, there's a psychology one, there's a history and education, counseling, business, and there's even more. Like here, there's 17 different guides below business. So if you want to look up companies or industry information, communication, economics, global studies, government statistics, all of these are here to help you, whatever your purpose is at the moment, even newspapers and magazines. But here, I told you that I would show you the writing guide. There's just here, we do have resources to kind of walk you through APA, MLA, or the Chicago Turabian and SPL styles, including some helps for just style, grammar, punctuation, writing guides, copyright and plagiarism, how to cite your sources, and many of these do have video links. Anytime you see this little box, it's just a little quick tutorial on citing your sources. So that is, let's go, since we mentioned Turabian a moment ago, let's go to that one and get back to my page here. Let's choose this one. And here we get some resource links to helps with Turabian, including Purdue OWL, the online writing lab from Purdue. But we also have our own sample student paper, which can help you through the in-text citations or the final footnotes and bibliography that you need for this citation style, including some other links to various resources, some from our professors and some from other sources. This particular first one looks like it's a print book. Here's an online book for writing guide. But there are a lot of Chicago or Turabian helps online as well. So that's just a quick look at the writing guide. Okay, so we are getting on towards the end of our time. I planned on doing a little less than this. So I'm going to share with you the link for this notes page. I went into some detail of EBSCO, where ATLA is and where the psychology databases were. I didn't go into great detail about ProQuest, but here's a link to it. Here's also some tutorials with that. Here's another one, helpful one is JSTOR. By the way, you see this orange button? It's one of our tools, databases A to Z. So if you just want to explore around a little bit and to figure out what we actually have available to you, here's an A to Z list, many, many different databases. It's a little overwhelming. That's why we encourage you to go to the subject guides, because it helps to focus. You could also, though, come here and say, I want to focus just on one of these different subjects. That's just another way to get into the resources. So let me go back to here And I'm going to say thank you for attending tonight, but also I'm going to say, yes, we have a way to do a survey about whether tonight was helpful or how it hopefully can be helpful. But I also, the key thing here is to get you the tiny URL that will get you to the links for the slideshow and for the follow-up document. I'll make this larger. If you need to just take a picture of this with your phone, do that. It's just tinyurl.com. And I'm sorry about this line that came up here. It looks like the Y is a V, but it's not. You can tell that by the word library at the end here. That's a Y. So the way to get to the page is just tinyurl.com/CAGS library. And CAGS can be uppercase or lowercase, both work. And that should take you to the follow-up document. So if you need to just take a picture of it, if you need to write it down really quickly, if you want to type it right into your computer right now, go ahead and do that. If you have any trouble accessing this, you can let me know through the chat or even through an email, I suppose. But hopefully you can get to it even right now.